Welcome to the Soul Intention podcast, where we have soul-led, heart-centered conversations that inspire growth, connection, and purpose. Whether it's us or our incredible guests, we're here to keep it real and meaningful. Let's get into it.
Hello, Annalise, how are you?
I'm doing so well. I am pumped for episode 2, pumped to be here and just get this content out there. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm super excited. Episode 2.
Mm-hmm.
We made it past our first one, which was quite big for us.
Yes, definitely.
So, yeah, really excited and excited for you to light that candle because it's such a good reminder for me while we're doing this.
Yeah. So we'll start by lighting the candle, connecting to this present moment. Oh, it's being a little bit difficult. There we go. And we're ready to go.
So, the power of daily rituals. We both agreed that this was, or having a ritual and a daily ritual is super important to both of us. So we thought, or we felt inspired to do an episode on it.
Yes.
So you made a great point the other day, and I feel like let's just start with that.
Yeah.
And that is the difference between a ritual and a habit.
So for me, a ritual is a meaningful, intentional practice that we have, that we do consistently. And rituals can be spiritual, they can be cultural, they can be personal. So there's many different types of rituals, of which we'll touch on later. A habit, on the other hand, tends to be more automatic, often unconscious. There's not a lot of thought that goes into it. And it sometimes can be used to for productivity, for behavior, for things like that. So I think a key difference is a ritual has meaning, it has a purpose, it brings you into the present moment. So there's that mindfulness presence element, whereas a habit is something that is done usually without a lot of thought and is often routine based.
Yes. And also what comes to mind is with a habit, I feel like we can have some really good habits.
Yes.
So we can have habits that serve us and habits that don't. But I feel like with the habits that are serving us, there's still an element where it's on autopilot and we're not present. Yeah.
I think that's a key thing, is that presence and that meaning behind it, and that it serves probably a greater purpose, i.e. it's grounding you, or it has a transformative element to it, or it creates a sense of connection. That's to me what a ritual is.
And you, when we were walking the other day, mentioned or brought up the cup of tea example.
Yes.
So what was that?
So if you're referring to a ritual and a habit, with a cup of tea, a habit may be that you simply drink a cup of tea.
Every morning.
Could be every morning, could be every night. It could just be that is your habit. Whereas a ritual is you're more connected to the experience. And I think that's quite key, is so you may mindfully brew the tea. You may have a special space that you sit down and you may set some intentions, or it's just about that connection and the experience of either slowly sipping the tea or being in conversation with someone, but really mindfully being present in that experience.
I love that. I do that throughout my day a few times, but I feel inspired to go and do that more throughout my whole day, such as having lunch, when we had lunch yesterday.
Yes.
And I had said to you, is it just me? You were a slow eater. And you said, I just eat mindfully.
Yeah.
And I was like, I so don't eat mindfully.
Yeah.
So it's just that intentionality, right?
It is, yeah. And I think even like in my family, like my husband's probably similar to you. He just will sit down. I'm like, just slow down. Like, it's not a race. You'll still eat it all. But taking that time to connect with whatever activity you're doing. And I think with rituals, there are a lot of powerful rituals that we can have to really support us in daily life.
So what are your rituals?
So for me, I would say my most prominent ritual that I have, and one that's been consistent through a lot of my last 7, 8, 9 years, is my morning ritual. So I call it my morning practice. each morning I wake up and I give the time to myself. And that's been a non-negotiable in my life. Even when the kids were really young, so I have 3 kids, they're all school age now. But taking that time for myself in the morning has been a really powerful and important practice that is a non-negotiable because it supports me to show up as my best self. Within my morning ritual, I have a range of things I do. So usually the first thing I do is when I wake, I connect to gratitude. So as soon as my alarm goes off, I just lie in bed and I just connect to gratitude. And there's a lot to be said for that connection to expressing thanks and being grateful. And I know you're going to touch on more of that when you share about your rituals. So that's the first thing. Then I usually move into meditation. I usually do guided meditation, so I'll either lie in bed or get up and just listen to a guided meditation. Then I like to do journaling. So I have a range of journaling practices I do. One of those is connecting to gratitude again. So I will write down what I'm grateful for. So within the first half an hour of a day, I've already consciously thought of what I'm grateful for, but I've taken that next step and written it down. And there's a lot of power in writing.
Are there any mornings where you don't do that?
Both of them, or just my morning?
Just some sort of a morning ritual. Like it doesn't have to have
all of
those.
it. Yeah. Yes, yep. Some mornings I will pare it back. So on a good morning, I do gratitude meditation. I'll do affirmations. So I've got affirmations I listen to. I will listen to music. So it'll just be one song, usually a high vibe song that gets me going for the day. I also do intention setting. So what do I want to achieve today? Usually 4 or 5 things. And then I read a page out of a lovely book that you've given me. It's called The Pivot Year. So I got gifted this for you from Christmas, and I love this. So I read a page out of this, and that's just a really intentional practice. And I think we'll touch on that a little bit more later. So that's kind of my non-negotiable one, my main one that I do. And I find that it just really supports me to start the day on my terms. And I think over the years, I've learned the importance of starting the day on my terms. And when I do that, it flows out to everybody else. And my husband's made comments numerous times, like, when I do these things, I come down, I put the music on, we have good vibes, around the house, everyone's getting ready for their day. It just flows. And I think flow is a really powerful element of rituals and what it does for you.
It absolutely changes everything.
Yeah.
I get comments when I'm not in the flow, such as, can you go meditate or do whatever it is that you do? And it's like, all right.
Yes, and that's what I do find as well, is on the days that I don't do it, I definitely do notice a difference within me. Part of my ritual also is, and I'm not consistent at the moment with this, and this is something I'd like to weave back in, is that movement element. So I know that that's something that you've been doing recently, a lot of movement exercise and how that supports you. So do you want to touch a little on that, and then maybe some of the other rituals that you have in your non-negotiables?
Yes. I will admit that I can not do anything in the morning, even though I know that it's amazing and it changes everything. So I can find myself at maybe 10 o'clock and I'm like, oh God, I haven't been connected or been present once this whole morning. But I'm pretty good most of the time. My non-negotiable is my gratitude. Yeah. So 15 minutes of gratitude 3 times a day, which is a lot, but it's changed my life completely.
Yes.
I'm not sure that I would have had all the synchronicities with the podcast if I hadn't have been doing that. I really do believe it puts you in the state of receivership. Yes. And even on days where I'm really busy and I haven't done it, I will not go to bed until I do my 45 minutes.
So do you then, if you don't do it during the day, do you then lump it together as a 45-minute time slot?
Absolutely, before I go to bed. And I won't lie, I love it. I just love it. And sometimes, it sounds crazy, I'll do like an extra 5-10 minutes. And that's one of my other daily rituals where I'll spend about 5 minutes feeling whole or emotions that I really want to feel. Yeah. So I feel like anything we want in life is because we think it's going to, it'll bring us a certain feeling. Yeah. So, wholeness is a massive one for me. I feel like there's no better feeling there, and I don't want to ever forget what it feels like, and I want to practice that feeling every day.
And how do you do that? Is it just you sit down in a space and you're in stillness and connect to that, or what do you do as part of that practice?
I have music on. I've got
Okay.
the same song on, and I just have it on replay while I'm doing my gratitude.
Okay,
and then I keep it going sometimes, and I'll feel how I want to feel.
Oh, nice.
Exercise I've just gotten into.
Yes.
As you mentioned, 2 weeks ago. So I used to exercise a lot before I had the kids, and I stopped once I was pregnant with Romeo.
Yeah.
So it's been, almost 10 years of not much exercise.
Yeah.
And I've done about 2 weeks, and I'm loving it.
Excellent.
So I've made that a non-negotiable now as well.
And what does that look like? What do you go out, or do you do it at home, or how does that exercise work
do it at home.
Yeah.
I do 20 minutes, quite intense on the cross trainer. I get super sweaty.
Nice.
And then I do about only like 5 minutes of resistance training.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
And that's it.
And you've been doing that daily?
Yes.
Ah.
Yeah.
And so what are the benefits that you've noticed as a result of doing that practice?
I have my music on, my playlist going.
Yes.
And we've discussed we both love music.
Yeah.
So I just love listening to music. I have music on all the time. So I feel like that just gets me going. And what was the question?
How does it make you feel? Like what benefits have you noticed from that practice?
Well, in the moment,
over the last...
I'm enjoying it, listening to the music.
Yep.
It makes me more mindful with eating. Not mindful with eating. It makes me more intentional with my food choices.
Yeah.
I end up hydrating myself more. I just make better choices. I feel good. And in all honesty, I do feel like in 2 weeks, I've seen areas where I feel more toned.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the exercise is one element, but there's that flow-on effect of how it impacts other areas of your life. Is that what you're...
Totally.
Yeah.
I think more than anything, it feels good in the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love the music. I love moving my body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's something that I want to weave back in because I've been a little bit lackluster of that. So that's something that I'm going to take inspired action on.
Nice.
I like it. Yeah.
And 2 other things I would say that I'm doing at the moment is I'm also reading the Pivot Year.
Oh, yes.
So that's usually before I go to bed. I don't read a page a day. I read as many pages as I need until something resonates.
Yes.
And it's easy in that book to find things that resonate, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And at the moment, I'm stuck on the same 2 pages
Wow.
where it's resonating so much. So I'm not going to move until I feel inspired to move on.
Yeah, yeah.
And what else had I noted down? Oh, I've got a vision board reel that I've created on my phone.
Cool.
And I watch that in bed before I get out of bed. It's about, I think it's 4 minutes long. So there's a song in the background and it's just different areas of my life. It reminds me of what I want because I feel like it's so easy for me to slip into autopilot and completely forget and the day's just gone like that.
Yeah.
So it's a reminder of where I feel inspired to go. And it again helps me take inspired action throughout the day and make those choices. So for example, clean eating's on there.
Yeah.
So when I go then in the kitchen, I'm like, oh, I haven't forgotten. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I love that intentional practice of doing that at the start of the day because once again, kind of similar to my morning rituals, it's something that sets you up of how you want the rest of the day to follow. And where we direct our attention, that's where our energy goes. So if you've already sent that signal to your brain about clean eating, then that's what you're going to put forward for the day ahead. So I really, really like that. I think once again, I think that's something I'd like to do as well. I've got a vision board, but it's just a static one. So it's just on the wall. I connect with that. But I like the fact that it's there, that you can view it anytime.
Yeah, absolutely. I can do it when I'm out somewhere if I want. Again, it's just 4 minutes. Sometimes I don't even listen to all of it.
Yeah.
I'll just go to a certain area that I want.
Yeah.
And the music in the background, again, music. Like I love it. So it just gets me feeling so good. And it's that perfect reminder. And you touched on the other day rituals that you do that aren't so spiritual, you could say.
Yeah.
But they're just rituals that you do. Do you want to touch on that?
Yeah. So there's a few different ones that I do. So one of them, and hey, you may say that this is a spiritual one because it's a connection. So one thing relating to the children, there's a few different rituals that I have relating to the children. So every morning when they wake, my first thing that I do with them is give them a hug. So I connect with them physically, hug them, and it's just a way for us to come together. And if I haven't, like, for example, this morning, we'd kind of got up going about our morning, and then I saw one of my sons, and I was like, oh, I've got a bone to pick with you. And he's like, oh no, what? I said, I've not had my hug yet. And so we embrace. So it's a really intentional practice of connecting, letting them know that I'm there. And then on that flip side, with the children at the end of the day, putting them to bed, they still like you to put them to bed. So go up, have cuddles, things like that. But actually, I did this one last night as well, as I just lay down. My daughter said, Mum, can you lie with me? And we sometimes do that. As they get older, they kind of draw away from that. So I really relish that moment to connect with her. So I just lay down and I just do mindful breathing. So I just breathe in deeply, in and out. Now, I don't say anything to the kids, but I just notice they start doing it. And it's just a really beautiful way just to slow down, settle that mind-body connection before heading into bed. So I really enjoy doing those practices with the children. Another one that we do around the dinner table, this links to gratitude. So we've been doing this for quite a while, since the kids were quite young. When we eat dinner together at the table, we all go around and share what we're grateful for. And it's almost become so second nature that our youngest, he will encourage it. So we might be eating and it's at any point in dinner and Theo will say, Mum, what are you grateful for? And so the kids even direct it. We don't always have to be the one directing. But we love it also because we have moments where the kids have friends over for play dates or sleepovers, and we'll be doing it and the friends are there and we include them and they're like, oh, what's going on? But it's just so second nature to us. So I really love that ritual of teaching the kids about gratitude, but also us sharing and being in an open sharing space for one another. So those are kind of some rituals that we do within the family with the kids. One ritual that I have that I love, I probably got into it a little bit too much last year, and I'm considering maybe changing it this year, so maybe you can help me out here. One thing you will learn, and you kind of know, the audience doesn't, but I am a mad Warriors fan. So I love the Warriors. We've always watched them. Growing up, we used to watch them. And last year, this ritual, maybe it was a habit. Interesting.
Do you know while you were talking, I was questioning, is she mindful when she's doing this?
Maybe it's a habit. Oh my gosh, this is so interesting. Okay, so potentially a habit. Maybe it has an element of both.
Is this habit serving you, Annalise?
Maybe not. Okay, I'll show you what it is. I would eat chips and dip whilst watching the Warriors. Now, maybe the reason I thought it could have been a ritual is because it connects to something from when we were growing up. It is somewhat nostalgic to me. We used to watch the Warriors, as I said. We'd get the packet of chips out, sit down as a family. So to me, it symbolises connection, people coming together for something that we all enjoy. So maybe that's why I thought it might have been a ritual, but maybe it's a habit.
I feel like if you look at tradition,
yes, yeah,
it is a habitual thing a lot of the time.
Yes.
So you're not really present, it's just something, it's an autopilot.
I think it could actually be a habit.
So I guess going forward, how can you turn it into a ritual and one that serves? Well, I feel like rituals do serve you.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, you can still have the chips and dip.
Yes.
But how can you turn it into a ritual?
I guess being reflective on what it serves, because to me, it's connection. So what am I connecting to? If it's food that I want, maybe it's about making better choices around the food. If I, for example, am choosing to eat more nourishing food that fuels my body, then maybe chips and dip isn't the best option. So maybe choosing better options in that respect, or otherwise just thinking about something else that I could potentially replace that with.
Yeah, I guess a little bit of reflection for you.
Yes, definitely. Oh, I've had a bit of an aha moment in this. Yeah, so that's one thing that I do love. Also, one thing that it's become a ritual is, and I learned this many years ago, it's when you receive a compliment to accept it. So previously, if people would compliment me, I would say, and I'd brush it off pretty much. And sometimes we can feel uncomfortable receiving compliments. I don't know why, but it makes us feel uncomfortable. So now when I receive compliments, it's become a ritual, a practice that I'm intentionally connecting to is I say thank you and I sit with the compliment. And I even take a step further when I remember. I've got a little file on my phone, a little folder around compliments. So I will actually write down the compliment into my folder so that if I'm feeling like I need a little pick-me-up, I can go back and read those. So that's become a ritual that I have started weaving in.
That's really beautiful. My other rituals that I do would be lighting candles when I'm doing certain things. So I've got a candle by the sink in the kitchen and also in my ensuite.
Yeah.
So when I'm washing my face at night, I won't have the lights on, I'll light my candle. And it's just beautiful. You've got the ambience. And I'm just really mindful. I don't rush it. I take my time. I smell, the face wash. I just really love it. So that's one that I do. And then with the dishes, I feel like it can sometimes be a bit of a chore, and I have to do the dishes. So I've changed it I've reframed it as in I get to do the dishes. It's a privilege, but again, I enjoy it. I have the lights down really low. I put the candle on. And I just take my time with it. I don't rush it. I hate being rushed. That's my autopilot. Autopilot is being rushed.
Yes.
So it's really nice to do something, again, that most people don't want to do, but actually enjoy it and, enjoy the moment.
I like that, especially the one in the kitchen. So I do something similar, and that's around cooking. So, as mums, sometimes we don't always love cooking because it's an ongoing thing. I'm lucky in the fact that my husband, Daniel, is actually really good at cooking and loves doing it. So when I cook, Daniel often says, cook with love. And I really like that because that makes it an intentional practice. And touching on your point, it's I get to cook. I get to provide this experience and provide food for my family and put a nice meal on the table. So rather than I have to cook, I get to cook. And as we were chatting about before, putting music on. So I put the music on, that raises my vibration. I'm in the kitchen happily cooking away, sometimes dancing. It just makes that experience really nice. And then I think that incidentally flows on the energy to the children. So they see mum in the kitchen cooking, happy, enjoying dancing.
Yeah.
And, they watch that, they see that. And who knows, maybe when they're older, they may do those little rituals when they cook or do different things that can often seem mundane. And it's just about reframing. And same with folding the washing. For Christmas, my sister actually got me these beautiful little candles. They're just like tiny little wicks almost, and they burn for 20 minutes and then they're gone. So you put it on, and I put it on in the room, fold the washing, and that's just that little connection. And I know 20 minutes later, usually the washing's folded, I've had music on, I've enjoyed the experience. So really nice little practice. Once again, it comes back to those intentional practices, isn't it? It's something that creates meaning out of something that may have otherwise been like, I really don't want to do the washing. Admittedly, I will say right now there is a pile of washing sitting at home for me, but
I love the sound of these wicks.
That's so cool.
I want one.
Yes, I will have to show you. It literally looks like just a tiny little, like a birthday candle, like those.
What's it sitting in?
It's got this little wooden thing. I was very dubious when I got it. You literally put it in. I thought this is going to fall over. It doesn't. It's like the wax holds there, and then it burns down, and you just don't even see it.
Oh, I'm so
it's
looking
pretty
into
cool.
that. Awesome.
Yeah.
Two other things I do. I listen to music. I'm not kidding you. When I sleep.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've got my playlist.
Do you have headphones, AirPods?
I've got
what do you have?
Yep. And every now and then, maybe twice a week, I'll wake up and I would have taken them out while I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
I drink a lot before I go to bed, so I do go to the toilet throughout the night. But I'll come
drink
back to
a
bed.
lot of water or
water and
tea
herbal teas.
Yeah.
But if I go to the toilet in the middle of the night, I'll come back. Sometimes I choose not to put the music back in my ears, but most of the time I do.
Wow.
So yeah,
I
just love that. While I'm drifting to sleep, and it doesn't take long for me to get to sleep, I love music that much.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I do is, I don't do it all the time, maybe once a week, I'll take a cup of tea into the shower.
Interesting.
I know. I remember hearing somebody do that, and I just felt inspired to try it. I love it. Just try it for me.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Hot chocolate for you.
Yes, hot chocolate for me. Or a herbal tea.
Yes, but just try it. I have really long showers, so I'm a 20-minute shower kind of person.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But I can still be on autopilot when I'm in the shower.
Ah, yes.
Even if I'm in,
Is the purpose of the tea to bring you into the present moment? Is that what it does? What's the purpose of having it?
I just find usually with teas, I'll have a few sips and then I'm so busy.
Okay.
And then it's cold.
Yeah.
You know, when I come back to it. So I just have my whole hot tea in the shower and I just love it. I'm more present and I just love the experience.
That is so cool. Okay, maybe that's something I've got to give a whirl on.
Try it.
Try it, exactly.
And then, do you want to touch on the rituals that we have with this podcast?
Yes. So we have created a few rituals. One of them you would have seen at the beginning is lighting the candles. So that's a little ritual that we have at the beginning of each episode. It just connects us into this moment. It's also a good little guiding light for us. If we feel like we're getting stuck up in the head or thinking too much about stuff, we can look at the candle. It directs us back. So the candle definitely is one. Up on the wall, we have our why, which we connect to before each episode. So we read it, we connect to the energy of what it says. Sometimes there may be certain words that just really bounce out. Like as you said it this morning, I really took away love is at the table of every conversation. That was like, yes. So that's what I took away from it. And then we also play a little bit of music. We talk so much about it. So we each take a turn chucking on a song from our playlist and playing music. Is there anything else that we do? Oh, the candle at the end?
We do the gratitude.
Oh, yes,
we each say what we're grateful for in that moment.
Yes.
And also blowing out the candle. I love blowing out the candle. For me, blowing out the candle, or with lighting the candle, it's, for me, taking that journey from the head to the heart.
Yes.
And also calling in spirit,
yes.
God, the universe, connecting. With blowing it out, for me, it's giving thanks to spirit, God, the universe.
Yeah. I love that. Closing out the practice, isn't it? And just, being grateful for that moment. I think there's something really important to touch on around rituals, and this is an idea of consistency. And you have a really beautiful quote around the importance of consistency in regard to rituals. And what is that quote that you connect with a lot?
I've got it on my laptop screen on my desk, and it's consistency trumps intensity. So true. And then the other one below it is it's not about perfection, it's about direction.
Ooh, yes.
So I think it's great to have a ritual, but the key is to sustain it, to do it every day. I feel like it's so easy to get busy.
Yeah.
Or for me in the past, I can get myself in such a good place with my rituals that it's almost like I feel like I don't need them anymore.
Yes,
and then boom,
definitely. Yeah. I think what I really connect to is that consistency trumps intensity. And I think if people are wanting to start rituals or start something, there is that trap that we can fall into where we go really hard in the beginning and then it tapers away. For me, consistency always wins. And that's one thing that I've noticed over the times that I am consistent, and then when it does fall off, I do know that I need to bring myself back into it. And usually when I'm not doing particularly my morning ritual, when I'm not doing that, I'm not in alignment. Things don't seem to flow as well. So really being consistent. And I think another key thought around consistency is something that is sustainable. Like you said, allowing it to be sustainable. So if someone was wanting to start a ritual, let's say, for example, they wanted to start gratitude, they may hear us and hear you saying, I do 15 minutes 3 times a day. And they may think, wow, that's so cool. That may be too much initially. So it's about doing something that, especially when starting a practice, do it so it's sustainable. So it may be you wake up and you express gratitude. Maybe that's something new for you. That's your first thought of the day is gratitude. Or it may be, okay, I'm going to do 5 minutes 3 times a day. So I think consistency and having something that is sustainable is really key with rituals.
Yes, and also I still love that it's not about perfection but direction.
Yes.
So those extra busy days where I have done nothing and I'm just about to hop into bed and it's like, oh my goodness, and I've turned my bedside table into a little, almost like an
Yes,
altar where
yeah.
I've got cards and a candle and my books. Yeah, even if it's at the end of the day and I'm about to go to bed and I realise, oh my God, I've been on autopilot this whole time. I haven't felt connected or grounded once. I can direct myself then and there. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be a certain way every day. And yeah, I also think it's so important to explore different practices over time and really go by what you feel inspired to do on the day and the moment.
Yes. And I think that's something really important around rituals is giving ourselves grace, because sometimes, once again, it links back to that perfection. Sometimes we're like, I've set this intention, I'm going to do X, Y, Z. And then if you don't do it, that sense of failure, like, oh, I missed it, can come in. But in those moments, I've learned, wasn't always like this, but I've learned to give myself grace and say, okay, hey, didn't happen the way I wanted it today, but like you've said, there's ways that you can weave it in where you can still be intentional, you can still do something that is supporting you.
Yes, and what also comes to mind is too many intentions creates tension.
Yes.
So I think even if you were to just do 5 minutes every morning, and that's it, massive, right?
Yeah, 100%.
It's a win. It's just that consistency.
It is. Should we set ourselves a challenge?
Yes. Well, I want to get back into the stillness meditation, so I'm just going to because I feel like I've got so much on at the moment, I'm just going to do 5 minutes in the morning.
5 minutes of stillness in the morning.
Before 10 o'clock.
Yep. Okay. I think for me, mine's also going to link to meditation because I want to become a little bit more consistent with that practice. I am going to do 5 minutes too, actually, because that's manageable. And I've got the Insight Timer app. I quite like doing guided meditations. So I will do 5 minutes of Insight Timer guided meditations.
Love it.
Love it. And there's an invitation for our listeners to either jump on board and do their own personal challenge. Maybe it's a ritual they have and they've maybe let it go by the wayside. They may reflect on what's something I want to bring back into my life. Or maybe it's a ritual they'd like to start. So maybe it's something that we've discussed today that you've heard and thought, wow, that sounds really cool. I'd like to give that a go. So a little invitation for our listeners to either start a ritual or pick up a ritual that you've had and you want to get back into it.
Awesome. So let's have a little bit of fun.
Okay.
Let's play a game.
Yes.
Quick fire 20.
Okay.
Ritual edition.
Okay. Ready to go.
So you may love both. You may not like either.
Okay.
Just whichever one
Comes to
resonates the
mind.
most.
Okay.
Yep. Nice and fast. So I'm just thinking, what am I going to say for this first one? So hard. Meditation or gratitude?
Meditation.
Gratitude.
Oh.
Morning stretch or evening unwind?
Evening unwind.
Morning stretch. Journaling or visualizing?
Journaling.
Journaling. Cold shower or warm bath?
Warm bath.
Warm bath. Silence or music?
Oh, music.
Yeah, totally. Affirmations or intention setting?
Intention setting.
Intention setting. Morning walk or evening walk?
Morning walk.
Yes. Yoga or Pilates?
Yoga.
Pilates. Prayer or manifestation?
That's a tough one. Prayer.
Me too. Mindful eating or intuitive eating?
Mindful eating.
Intuitive eating. Nature time or creative time?
Oh, that's a hard one. Nature time, but I love creative time. Nature time. Nature time.
Creative time for me. Sun gazing or moon gazing?
Sun gazing.
I feel like it should be sun bathing or moon gazing.
Yes.
I'm changing that.
Sunbathing, yeah.
Oh, yes, I love my sunbathing. Digital detox or junk food detox?
I think for me, I need a junk food detox.
I would go to digital detox. Reflective journaling or brain dumping?
Reflective journaling.
Me too. Power nap or deep rest?
Power nap, 100%.
Deep rest. Oh. Writing or drawing?
Writing.
Drawing. Guided meditation or self-guided meditation?
Guided meditation.
Self-guided for sure. Slow morning or productive morning?
Oh, productive just because of the Aries in me.
I'm going to say slow morning. I feel like you can still be mindful and productive in a slow
Yes.
morning.
Okay,
Slow and
yes.
steady wins the race.
Okay, yes.
Morning routine or evening routine?
Morning routine.
Yes. And sage, or I can't say it.
Palo Santo.
Yes.
That's how you say it. Sage.
I feel like I'm neither, but I'm going to say sage.
Yeah. Love a good little sage at the house. There were a few that I was quite intrigued from you, how you've answered or what you said. The first one was around nature time or creative time. You chose creative time.
Both are amazing.
Yes. And that's why I found it difficult.
That resonated more for me. I need to be out in nature more. I'm very aware of that. And I love the outdoors.
Yeah.
But I spend more time indoors, I think, with work.
Yes.
And kids in life. But creative time. I love being creative, how we've been creative with this whole process, with the podcast, with my business.
Yes.
I just love feeling inspired to do something and to make something from nothing. I love the energy. I love bringing things to life. So, yes, nature, amazing. It's so hard to choose between the two, but I would say I'm a creative person, so I love that creative energy.
Yeah, I think I agree as well, because I love creativity. I do actually love drawing. When there was that one for writing or drawing, I kind of struggled on that because I do love drawing. I love drawing landscapes. I've dabbled at painting and things, and I love the energy of creativity and what it does and how that can flow on when you're in a creative zone, and then things just flow from that. And I think, like you said, this podcast is such a beautiful manifestation of creativity for the both of us.
And it can even go back to what you said before with creating a meal from the place of love. That's creating something. I feel like a lot of us think that with creating or to be creative that you've got to be into music or art, create some art piece. An art piece, yes. Yeah. But you don't. It's just having an idea to do something and there's nothing in front of you in that moment and you think of what you want to create and it can be a meal and boom, there it is.
Yes. I like that. Yeah, definitely.
So what was your key takeaway today?
I'd say my key takeaway is consistency trumps intensity. I think consistency is key for any ritual that we have. And if you want a ritual to be sustainable, then you need to be consistent.
My key takeaway, or more a point of inspiration for myself, what I'm taking away from today is I want to interweave ritual more into every moment. And I guess it's just that mindfulness.
Yes.
And also I feel like I can put maybe too much pressure on myself with all these rituals that I want to do. And I can sometimes at the end of the day, if I haven't done them all, be like, disappointed in myself.
Yeah.
So I think it is less is more.
Yes.
And it's just, again, it's that direction, not the perfection, and just getting in there in the morning.
Yes, the morning. I mean, sometimes people, say, are you a morning person or an evening person? I'm typically a morning person, but my challenge to people who consider themselves not morning people is to just even get up 15 minutes earlier and do something for themselves, because I even think that practice can just have a flow-on effect for the day. Starting the day on your terms. I think that's something really empowering that I've noticed in my own journey that supports me.
I could be wrong here. I feel like not all, but some people, maybe most people that aren't morning people and that like to sleep in, maybe don't have any passion. So they've got nothing to wake up to look forward to.
Okay.
So could be really wrong there.
Don't know. I mean, that's an interesting question to pose.
I feel like, well, for me, if I've got something that I'm working on that I look forward to, such as this podcast, I'm really looking forward to waking up the next morning. I want to get in there. I want to, I don't want to waste my morning.
Yeah.
I could be so wrong there.
I think it's an interesting topic point, though.
Yeah.
Very interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be good to hear from people that maybe aren't morning people and what their perspective is.
Yeah, and I do think there would be people that operate better in the evening and they still might be really passionate, but they just don't work well in the morning.
100%. 100%. Yeah.
So, should we end the session with our little candle ritual?
Yes, I'd love to. Do you want me to start?
I'll start.
Okay.
So I am already in my head as I think of what I'm going to be grateful for. If I get out of my head and I come into my heart right now in this moment, I am grateful for this candle, for it always being here and reminding me to come into my heart space while we're having these conversations. And in all honesty, I can see it in your glasses more. So I can see it flickering there, and I love that. So it is kind of here, but the mic's covering it a little bit.
Yeah,
but I'm doing this a lot now where if I am in my head, if I'm thinking too much, I'm like, no, come back. And it's thanks to this candle. So, yeah, grateful for the candle and for the rituals that we've created surrounding this podcast that keep bringing us back to our heart space.
Definitely. I think I'm the same. I'm going to pick up the candle because I want to connect to that. I am grateful for this conversation. I've really enjoyed us talking about rituals, reflecting on rituals, and hopefully giving our listeners something to reflect on for themselves. I'm grateful also for our setup. I just love our setup. I think it looks so freaking amazing. So I'm grateful for that. And I want to finish it by blowing out the candle. Thank you for tuning in to the Soul Intention podcast. If this episode resonated with you, please rate, review, and follow. It helps us keep these conversations going. Until next time, stay soul-led and heart-centered. From the head to the heart.